welcome today. I'm really excited to have all of you here today, as I'm sure you're very excited to learn more about communication skills and how to understand your own communication skill, how to effectively work with communication skills, all that kind of stuff. So my name is Kimberly Mitchell, and I'll be facilitating your training today. And I'm really excited about the next little while that we're going to spend together to talk about these things, because I think you'll find that just a little bit of knowledge on this subject will really go a long way in your workplace, in your personal lives as well, at home or with friends and in different situations like that, but especially in the workplace. That's kind of what we're going to focus on. But it's really exciting what just a little bit of knowledge about this can do for you. So I'm excited to talk to you about this today. So what we're going to talk about is just communication styles in general. How to understand your own, how to effectively gauge other people's communication styles, and how to manage other people's communication styles to get the best out of people, basically. So it's really important that you understand that your communication style really reflects how people perceive you. So the way that you communicate is really going to give off a certain persona that people are going to perceive, and they're going to react to that, and they're going to interact with you differently based on the communication style that they perceive. And by understanding what you're giving off, as well as understanding what other people are giving off, you can really create a great working environment. You can increase productivity. You can just kind of have a general morale boost in the workplace, and you can really foster teamwork when you know this information about your different communication styles and that kind of thing. So it's really important that we understand this, and we're going to go through a lot of things today, but it's a really beneficial thing to have when you can gauge other people's and really understand your own. So there are basically 4 communication styles: expressive, systematic, sympathetic, and direct. So these are the 4 basic communication styles. Obviously, it's hard to put the entire world into these 4 categories, but when you kind of simplify it to this, it makes it a little bit easier to generalize groups of people and that kind of thing so that you can work better with them. I'll explain a little bit more about each of these different personalities, but as I do that, I really want you to take a moment to think about you personally, as well as the people who are in your life, your coworkers, your family, your parents, your spouse, your friends, and kind of fit them in a category and find out what you think best suits them as far as communication styles go. That way you can put a face to the different styles so that you have a better understanding of it. And then hopefully when you leave here today and you go back into your workplace, or you go to meet your family or some friends, you can kind of put into practice some of the things we talked about today and see if I'm right or not. And then I expect emails from all of you telling me just how right I was about all this stuff. So let's talk about the communication styles. The first one that we're going to talk about are the expressives. Now the expressives, they tend to be very high energy. They're really excited. They speak very quickly. They have a really good understanding generally of the big picture. They find conflict and diversity and just discussions or debates on things very invigorating. They really enjoy it. It kind of fuels them. So they get really excited about it. Now, people, when they see expressives, they tend to perceive them as overly cheerful, sometimes unpredictable, maybe a little bit vain. They tend to be very confident, outgoing people. So when they're perceived by other people, sometimes some of the negative things go with it as well, like being vain. But overall, they're just really excited people, big picture people, and really enjoy getting into like a kind of fierce conversation about a specific thing. The second group that we're going to talk about are the systematics. The systematics are really focused on the details, the hows and the whys of what we do. They want to know about the kind of the nuts and bolts of everything, really. They're not as concerned with the big picture, they're more concerned with the details. They are often very uncomfortable with conflict. They generally don't like it. They kind of shy away from it, avoid it as much as they can. The systematics are often perceived as kind of unemotional because they're into the facts and figures of things. They don't have the kind of feel-good stuff about the project or things like that. And so oftentimes people perceive them as unemotional or kind of apathetic, which again is not the case for them, but it's just kind of how they're perceived because they want to know the details as opposed to the big picture, touchy-feely type things. The next group we're going to talk about are the directs. Now the directs, they're generally really brief in conversation. They get right to the point, they say what they want to say, and they move on. They don't like to know about the nuts and bolts. They don't like to know about, all the feelings associated with things. They want to say, this is what I need, this is what I need it, do it. They generally care more about the outcome than the small tasks. They don't care, like I said, about the nuts and bolts. They care about the outcome of everything. They don't really care how you get there. They just want to know that you're going to get there. They often appear very confident, sometimes intimidating almost to other people, because they are very, like I said, to the point and kind of short. Oftentimes people think that directs are angry with them when they talk to them. It's not that they're angry with them, it's just that they want to get in and get out. They don't want to deal with all the other stuff. They just want to say, this is what we need, this is what we need it, do it. So those are directs. The last group that we're going to talk about are the sympathetics. They like to focus on people and the relationships and kind of that feel-good, touchy-feely type stuff when it comes to projects and things like that. They really care about the big picture. They're very concerned about everyone's roles in it, people's feelings. They're very sympathetic with other people, and it really matters to them kind of that everyone has a say and that they're all involved and that everyone is feeling good about everything. They're often perceived as very soft-hearted, overly helpful. They can sometimes be perceived as procrastinators. It's not that they're procrastinating, it's just that they want to make sure that everyone feels included, that everyone feels happy with what's going on, as opposed to just kind of brushing through it. So those are the 4 communication styles that we've talked about: the expressive, the sympathetic, the systematic, and the direct. Those are the 4 different that we talked about today. So what's important is to know that you can avoid conflict, you can increase productivity, you can do so many great things, especially in the workplace, if you understand these communication styles. Here's an example for you. If I'm a sympathetic, or what's often associated with the color blue, I'm a sympathetic, and I need to go approach a direct person with a need for a project to be done or something like that. If I go in and I give them this big old long story about how people feel and how this will really affect this person and all that kind of stuff, one, I'm just going to annoy them because they don't have time. In their brains, they don't have time to hear all that. But 2, they're not going to care as much because I'm giving them the things that I care about, not the things that they care about. Whereas if I adjust myself and I walk into a direct and I say, I need this, I need it by this time, and this is the reason I need it, thank you very much, are you going to be able to do that? And walk out, they're going to feel more connected to it because I've given it to them in the terms that they prefer. So it's really important to realize that just by adjusting yourself a little bit, you can really affect that. It's also important to realize, and we're talking about this, that communication just isn't verbal. It's verbal, it's body language, and in this day and age, really, it's digital as well. With so many emails and text messages and conference calls and things like that, there's so much digital in our communication these days, and we all know that that can be misunderstood very easily. So it's really important to know that these communication styles need to cross all of those things. And when you adjust yourself, you need to cross all of those things. So as I was saying, if you approach someone and if you feel a little imbalanced, like you're approaching them incorrectly or something like that, just take a moment to look at their communication style, see how they communicate with other people, and adjust yourself. I'm one person, and if there's 50 of you, and I'm one person, it's so much easier for me to adjust myself to each of the different styles that you have than to ask all 50 of you to adjust yourself to me. So I can make that decision to do that on my own and approach each person the way that they like to be approached. You can do that simply by just observing how they interact with other people, and then try to, like I said, adjust yourself. If I'm a blue, but I'm going to go talk to a yellow, I want to give them the details of it and the nuts and bolts and why we need to do something and how we need to do it, the facts and the figures. And they're going to appreciate that, and they're going to get on board a lot better if I approach them the way that they prefer. It's going to be really helpful. So you can always, adapt your communication style to other people's, and understand that that will really help employees sustain productivity, and it will create a harmonious work environment, really. It's really a great tool. So I challenge all of you to walk out of this room today and to look at people a little bit differently, to watch how they communicate with other people and decide how they are communicating. Are they a direct? Are they a sympathetic? Are they an expressive? Or are they a systematic? And kind of see that, and then once you've figured it out, approach them in a different way. Approach them how you think they like to be communicated with. And watch, you're going to get a lot farther. You're going to get more done, and you're going to create a really great environment where people feel respected and people want to do the things that you're asking them for. So I thank you all today for joining me. I really appreciate you being here, and I hope that I've given you all the information that you need to go out there and communicate with people effectively. If you have any questions, feel free to stay after. I'll be up here and I can happily answer anything that you need me to. But overall, I just hope that you understand a little bit more about your own communication style and other people's as well. So thank you again, and I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day and go out and start communicating. Thanks.